In this final part of Record and Replay, we're going to give you some recording tips, and we're going to look at some of the debugging tools that are available to you within QTP. One of the most important tips for recording is to ensure that you have the correct add-ins loaded for the application you're testing. If you're unsure of what add-ins you have loaded, off the Help menu you can choose About QTP, and that will show you the add-ins and which ones you have selected, which have the tick boxes in. If you haven't got the right add-ins loaded, then you will need to close QTP, re-invoke it, and select them from the Add-ins Manager. Always invoke QTP first, and then the application under test. When recording long business processes, don't be tempted to try and record the whole script in one go. You can break it down. Just record it section by section, and then you can test out that section. Here I'm recording invoking my Windows Flight application and logging in. The initial part of my business process. I can stop recording, close the flight application, and play it back to make sure that this part of the business process works before proceeding on to the next part. Now I know that works, I can continue recording from here. Expand out my script and select the last step. Now when I select record, it will record from this point in the script. You can also record into the script. So while recording, if you miss any steps, here I've forgotten to change the number of tickets. Once I finish recording, I can stop recording. I can select the step that I want to record from. So this step is where I insert edgewords into the name field. I can hit record again and record the step that I missed. Stop recording, and now that test step has been inserted into my script. When replaying tests, there are a couple of options to be aware of in QTP. From the Tools menu, if I select Tools, Options, and select the Run section, in the first part we have the run mode, normal or fast. Normal mode, which is the default, shows the execution arrow in QTP. So when the test is being replayed, you can see which step is currently being executed. You can also insert some delay between each test step. Here I've slowed QTP down by inserting 400 milliseconds of delay time between each test step. In fast mode, the execution arrow is suppressed, so you won't see anything happen in QTP, and the test will run as quickly as possible against the application. At the bottom, we have some options for viewing the results automatically when the run ends. And the next option down, allow other HP products to run tests and components, is very important if you're using Quality Center, as this allows Quality Center to interact with QTP, to invoke QTP, and to run tests. In the screen capture section, we have an option to capture an image if an error occurs with the script replay. You can turn this on permanently, so for every test step a screen capture will be made and you will be able to see it in the results. It can be just for errors or for errors and warnings. This is very useful as it gives you a visual indication of what went wrong if the script failed. When recording with QTP, try to use the mouse to move from field to field as opposed to the tab or keyboard shortcuts. If I use the tab key to move around from object to object, then QTP will record this, so I'll end up with extra steps in my script. Here I'm using tab to move from the date and from the fly from to the fly to combo box. And if I stop recording at this point and we look at the recorded script, then we can see that we have statements that have recorded when I clicked the tab keyboard button. Now these are not necessary because in this step I am selecting something, in this case London, from the fly from combo box. Regardless of whether I tab onto that field or not, this step will still be executed. So these tabs could be removed from the script without affecting it. If you're interested in recording tab movement, then that's fine. But if not, it's always best to use the mouse to move and navigate around your application. For controlling script execution, QTP has a number of very important debugging tools. First of all, if I click on the automation menu, we can see that we've got run, the shortcut is F5, which if you remember always executes from the first step, so it's run from top. We can run the current action if we have multiple actions. We can run from a particular step. Off the debug menu, we have some more tools. We have step into, run to step, debug from step, and we can also insert and remove breakpoints. The first one I'm going to look at is step into. F11 is the shortcut. So within QTP, if I press F11, QTP prompts me that it's about to run the test and asks me where I'd like to store the results. Click OK. The test is now executing. We can see the execution marker on the left-hand side, the yellow arrow, but it's paused. If I press F11 again, it will execute the step and move on to the next step. So F11, step into, allows me to step through my code line by line, so I can see exactly what's happening in the application as each test step executes. If I want to continue running from a particular point, so here I've paused at where I'm inserting Edgewords into the name field, I can just click run or F5 to continue the execution. So F11, step into, is a very useful debugging tool. Another useful tool are breakpoints. These can be inserted by selecting a step and off the debug menu, inserting a breakpoint. F9 is the shortcut. Or for speed, we can also just left mouse click in the gutter, which is the grey area next to our test script. And you can see that a red dot appears. I can have as many of these breakpoints as I would like. To clear them, all I do is click on them again, so we can toggle them on and off. So I've inserted a breakpoint into my script. I'll reset my application under test and hit run, F5 to run from top. When QTP gets to the breakpoint, as we can see there, the script pauses. This line of code has not yet been executed. I can at this point use F11 to step from that point. I could stop the test, or I could click run just to continue from that point. So we have a number of tools available to us in QTP to control our script execution and allow us to debug our test.